to the apprenticeships. And then if there are additional questions at the end, we'll hop back on to questions. So Christiaan, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Well, good evening. Thank you everybody for coming. We'd like to spend some time right now to kind of give you an overview and just a better understanding of the Technest Apprenticeship. Up until now, you've been learning about the Technest program in general and the core courses, but now we'll get into like the next phase and how Technest is evolving. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Dr. Lena Tran, our Vice President, who spoke earlier for the Technest presentation.
Sorry, Christiaan, she had a call with the chancellor, so she's going to hop on a little bit later.
Well, then I'd also like to introduce Mr. Greg Waters. He's the CEO of Microfacturing Institutes, and he's partnering with San Jose City College for the Technest Apprenticeship. Greg?
Yeah, hey everybody. Christiaan, you want me to take it away now, or do you have more slides to go through?
No, go ahead. I'll let you screen share.
Okay, listen, I think as one of the last speakers, I'm probably standing in between most of you and dinner, so I'll make this short. But just to introduce myself, my name is Greg Waters, and I've been working with City College on the Technest program for 3 years now as an employer. So I am a tech business guy. I've been in the tech industry for over 30 years. And the companies I work with employ people all over the world. So broadly here in the United States, Canada, Asia, Europe, etc. And my initial relationship with City College started about 3 years ago as an employer, not as a sponsor or a partner. And it was because the company I was running at that time was a company in the south of San Jose called Integrated Device Technologies, which employed about 2,500 people globally. And we were growing really fast. And while you may not have heard of integrated device technology, you almost certainly own things that use our products. So the sensors in your car, or if you have a wireless charging in your cell phone, we very likely made that. And we were really struggling to find good people for good jobs. And I don't mean just the rocket science jobs where you really needed to have a deep degree in computer science or data science or an electrical engineer or a master's degree. These were really cool entry-level jobs. They paid really well, but we needed people with the types of skills that people have been talking to you about tonight. We needed people with basic programming skills and at least a fundamental understanding of data science, just how do you apply statistical knowledge and data to make sense out of things, et cetera. So in the course of these 3 years, we have, with companies I've been associated with, employed a bunch of people that have been associated with the Technest program, mainly in paid internships where people will come in and at least for 6 months and get paid. And some in full-time jobs. So for instance, Matt Stillman, who you heard about earlier, we liked him so much we hired him full-time. And the website I'm about to show you in just a minute here was actually, everything on that web page was created by Matt, as one example. So that's a little bit of history about the Technest program. I personally know the instructors. I know Cecil, I know Mark, I know Sanjay, and they are excellent. These are hands-on people that really have a lot of experience, not just teaching, but applying things. So for any of you that may be on the fence of taking one or more of the courses associated with Technest, I would really give it a second look. It's an excellent program that we've had good success with for some time. So since Christiaan has teed me up tonight to talk about apprenticeships and jobs, let me jump over that. So I've said a few words about Technest and talk about jobs. So how do these courses in this curriculum actually help you get into a job? And I'm going to do a little screen share here. So you should see in front of you a website that says Education that Delivers Job Skills and Opportunities. You guys can all see that, right? Okay, good. Let me give you a little bit of background about one of the companies I do run called Microfacturing Institutes. It is an educational foundation, meaning that we work with really progressive educators like City College to deliver and promote content, but we also create content on our own. So for instance, we have one of the things that we believe strongly in is how do you mix up both the education process and the jobs training process at the same time, so that there's not this serial type of development. You take a bunch of courses, then you go to work, and then you figure out what your employer really wants you to do. It's the way it's always been done, but it's not the most efficient way. So one way to think about this Microfacturing Institutes thing is nearly all of the people that work here are actively employed in the tech industry now, right? So this is where we work and live. So we've got a pretty good idea of what the employability, what are we looking for employability? And a lot of that looks like Technest. So when you go to this website, www.microfacturingusa.org, if you forget that, any of us on the call can send that to you, microfacturingusa.org, you will see this pop up, and that's the home page. But here's the cool thing with apprenticeships is if you go to the jobs page, which I'll pull up now, that looks like that, you're going to see a page that will be available to anybody on a voluntary basis that goes through one or more of the Technest courses. And this is completely voluntary, but one of the things we are partnered with City College on is the apprentice program. And here's how it works. If you want to, and you've got at least one of these courses under your belt, you can voluntarily go ahead and give public information about yourself, right? It could be a LinkedIn profile, it could be a resume or CV. You will drop down and just check out, are you a student, an instructor? Are you an active professional? What courses have you taken? And even though this website does not perfectly match what the Technest program has in it, it will in about 2 weeks. So long before any of you are done with the next round of courses, when you pull up this page, you will have a bunch of check boxes that both recognize any prior experience you might have, whether it's Technest or not, and specifically what courses in Technest have you taken already? Have you achieved one of the certificates that Mark Brennan had spoken about earlier, et cetera? Now, once that information is in there, and we are a charity, we are a 501c3 charitable, public service corporation, so we're not selling anything. We're certainly not selling any of you anything. What will then happen there is that as long as you give us permission to do so, we will go ahead and take your background and information and match that up with companies that we know are looking for this type of talent. So one of the first thing is does it guarantee, if you take a course out of City College and you enroll in this, are you guaranteed to get an apprenticeship or a job? Absolutely not, right? There's no guarantee out of this whatsoever. And in fact, if you've only got one course under your belt, honestly speaking, that's not a lot, right? In terms of the way that an employer would look at this. But when you start to string together 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 courses out of this, I think as an employer and somebody that chooses the program, you now become highly employable. You may have a job, this may help you get a better job. You may be looking for a job to earn some money while you complete your education. This is perfect for that. But I think one of the most interesting things is that when industry, people like myself, look into your schools, very often what employers see is they see some things they like a lot. There will always be a good set of courses or a cool instructor or 2 or 3 or 5 or something like that. But employers often struggle to kind of match, okay, that gives me half of what I need or 2/3 of what I need. How do we get the rest of the package filled out? And this is where this program will really step in and help the most qualified people do that. So let me just pause there for questions. The idea is get as many courses under the Technest umbrella as you can. Once you complete at least one, you're eligible to enroll in this, and we will go to work trying to match you up for jobs. We will also, once that is available, and there's a bunch of Q&A, for instance, what do we do with your data? We don't want any private data. Anything that you don't want published broadly, don't put it in here. You've had tonight at least 3 different groups offer to help you with your resume, your CV, and especially your LinkedIn profile, right? I would take advantage of those types of resources. It's very powerful. And best of all, is there a cost to the job service? And there is not, right? So in essence, this will take most of you tops 10 minutes to fill out. It's free. So I think there's very little downside to doing this. So that is going to be the apprenticeship program sponsored by industry, mainly tech industry, but not uniquely so. City College, Microfacturing Institutes, public charity. You can look us up on the website if you want to find out more. And that's one of the things that will be offered as part of the apprenticeship program, starting with City College in the fall. So let me pause there and we can take any questions, but also I want to throw out a couple more comments is, how do you use the experience you're going to be gaining in Technest to really differentiate yourself? Because even though the courses are very high quality, the instructors are very high in quality, look, it's competitive out there, right? And all of us will be competing with other people for these same types of cool jobs. And here's a few things that, if they're not unique out of the Technest program, they're certainly very rare. And I'll give you a few ideas. But first, if you get through these courses, and I'll take, for instance, Cecil's course, Foundations of IoT, on that, you actually not only gain knowledge out of that, you do a project. You will create in that class a working, functional IoT prototype. It'll actually work. You will work usually as part of a small team to do that. But for instance, if you were to make a short 2-minute video showing, look, here's the project that we did, here's what I was part of created, you'll know a lot about that project because you will have built it. Those types of things, and inserting those into your LinkedIn profile, your public CV, saying, look, I've not only taken these courses, I've built stuff, right? I've got hands-on experience in doing that. That's incredibly powerful and incredibly rare. Is what you can do out of this. And that's what I think many employers are looking for now is obviously academic knowledge is very important, but the problem is too many people kind of stop there when it comes to actually building something, whether it's a product or a service or maybe servicing a product, a service that already exists, people don't know what to do. Now, you go back 10 or 15 years ago, you would graduate with a certain amount of courses and degrees, you would get a job if you're lucky, and they would train you, right? So basically your education process almost started over, right, in that first year to 2 years, and the employer would be training, look, here's the specific things we want to do. And if you look at one of the things that we are really, I think, ahead of the curve on this whole Technest and apprenticeship program, you're going to get a big jump start on those hands-on job skills. So for instance, many different questions, Python, right? Anybody for almost any job, having introductory coding these days is a really good idea. Even if you want to be in marketing, it's a good idea. You don't have to be necessarily building exotic devices as a coder. Data science, Sanjay's class, if you get into, okay, what is the language of data, not just the esoteric stuff, but since so many different products and services depend on the interpretation of data, here's a whole bunch of data, what do you do with it? You've now gone up another notch, all right, with some programming and the initial language, if you will, of data science. Now, if you match that in with also Foundations of IoT, where you've got a little bit of coding, you've got some understanding of data science, but now you've started to build things as well. That alone, if you strung those 3 courses together, I think will, on average, create a really cool set of apprenticeship, paid internships, or real jobs, right, for any of you. And in addition, what it'll probably do is you'll learn about yourself and what you really like to do going through those courses. So you may have an affinity in a certain direction, and you keep expanding your education with future courses or job training forever. So as far as I know, a unique program between Microfacturing and City College starts this fall. And when you pull up this exact web page in a few weeks, it's going to look exactly like some of the elements of what was already discussed in Technest.